What is up, Facebook Live? Thanks for tuning in, Northeast Kayak Fishing TV. Tonight we got a little different episode for you. We're bringing on the high school director for NEBassin, a young man out of Connecticut named Dylan Napoleone. So we got a bunch of questions for him. Guys, hit the like button, hit the share button. I got a donate box up in the video description. It's a PayPal donate thing if anybody's feeling generous. This stuff kind of takes up a lot of my time, so if we could help me out a little bit, that'd be greatly appreciated. I'm not looking to make millions, just a little help. Also, check out our YouTube channel. We've been uploading a lot of stuff onto YouTube. Every podcast episode goes to YouTube. Been doing some tackle reviews and things like that. They're going up on YouTube. So please like and share. Share that YouTube. Thanks for watching, and we're going to bring Dylan on right now. How's it going, Dylan?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Pretty good. I hope I pronounced your last name correctly. I'm pretty sure I did.
But... it's Napoleon, but I go by a bunch of different things.
Napoleon. I thought it was Napoleon. It's all right. I'm sorry about that.
No problem.
All right. So, first off, let's tell everybody, like, how old are you? I mean, you're obviously a younger man.
Yeah, so I actually just turned 18 on the 19th of January. And, I'm from Connecticut, like you said, and I direct the NEBassin High School series.
Awesome. Now, who got you into fishing originally?
So, it's kind of a story. I used to live in Stratford, Connecticut, which was right on the shoreline of Connecticut, and I was really close to saltwater, so I spent a lot of time with my dad doing saltwater fishing. And then I moved more centralized in Connecticut, and I was kind of far away from saltwater. And I started bass fishing with one of my buddies, Kyle. And to this day, we're bass fishing partners. We fish in all of our tournaments together.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
What types? I was looking at your Facebook and trying to learn some things about you, and I noticed there was a lot of different species of fish on that Facebook page. So what types of fishing do you do? Let's tell everybody.
All right. So, I fish year-round, and it kind of depends on what the season is, because living in New England, like right now, we're fishing for everything through the ice. So I'll go in the order of the seasons. In the spring, I fish for a lot of trout usually and some bass. And then all through the warmer months, like the summer and fall, I fish for bass 100%. And then when the winter rolls around, I do everything through the ice. I catch panfish, bass, pike, trout. I just went for trout the other day. So I do a mix of things, and it just really depends on what's biting in the season living in New England,
Right. You guys have good ice out there right now?
I was just on it on Sunday, actually, and it was fine. We were on about 6 inches of ice. I just have to travel a little bit further, about 40 minutes northern of me to find that safe ice, but yeah, we have safe ice.
Wow. I have nothing here. Complete open water here.
Yeah, we have some. I mean, like I said, I have to travel, but it's there.
Yeah. Here we had like one weekend that we had safe ice. I got out there for a couple of hours, and I couldn't even venture too far out because the whole place wasn't frozen. I had like a small shallow cove that I could fish. It was 6 inches there, but out on the main lake it was still almost open water.
Yeah, I hear you. Where I'm at, pretty much everywhere that I've been is locked up completely. It's gonna change, but right now and over the weekend, at least, a lot of my spots were locked up, and I was able to get out on the ice.
Now you're in the northern part of Connecticut, I'm assuming.
Yeah, I mean, I'm more centralized, but the northern part of the state where a lot of the ice is right now is about 20 to 30 minutes away. So, right in the northern, I mean, more centralized, but northern is pretty much where I'm at.
Now, what made you get into fishing tournaments?
Well, I used to just fish for leisure. My buddy has a pond in back of his house, and we used to fish there all the time and just have fun. But then we met Jamie Verab from NEBassin, and obviously, Jamie,
Right.
he's into the tournament fishing, and I don't know, we just got into it. We joined as high school kids, and then I fished the normal kayak series against, remember that event that I fished with you?
Right.
And then from there, me and Jamie just had an idea to start a high school series, and now I direct that with two other kids who help me out in the summer.
Awesome. Um, so do you do just kayaks, or are you doing big boat too?
So I fish in a bunch of different tournaments. I do my kayak tournaments. I fish in big boat tournaments, the Connecticut Bass Nation High School division, and then this year I'm probably going to join a trail as a non-boater too, and see how that goes.
Awesome. Now, which do you think is better? What do you prefer? Do you prefer kayak or you prefer the boat?
I like boat fishing honestly, but kayak fishing is something special. Honestly, it's not something that everyone gets to do. I mean, there's not tons of kayak tournaments out there. I mean, there are obviously, but a lot of people look past kayaks, and I don't know. I find something special with kayak fishing, and I just upgraded a kayak, and I'm looking to have a fun year with that kayak this year.
What did you get?
I actually won it through a raffle through NEBassin. It was an Old Town top water.
Nice. Is it a PDL or not PDL?
Oh, it's a paddle version, but I rigged it up with a trolling motor.
Awesome. Awesome. You got to have a motor or pedals.
I saw the video with Derek, and you guys were going crazy about the trolling motors. It's a fact.
Yeah, it really is. If you don't have pedals, you definitely need electric. I had electric, but I switched over to pedals. I just got sick of the maintenance with battery and lugging all that crap.
Yeah,
So I went to pedals, and I mean, my legs can take me forever. So
I know. Yeah, that's awesome.
uh, now you talked a little bit about that tournament, about where you met me. Um,
Yeah,
I just want to let everybody on here know, uh, this kid and his two buddies showed up to this tournament. It was my first fish tournament out in Connecticut with NEBassin. It was like 2 years ago, I think. Um, and this kid and his buddies showed up and beat the crap out of all of us. And we had some good sticks there. We had Scott Schneider, who I believe is watching now. He was there. Jack Tibbins, myself. I mean, I consider myself a decent angler. And these three kids put a whooping on us, man. I'll never forget. I only got one fish. I mean, Dylan won it with two fish, right, Dylan?
I didn't win. I forget. Either came in first or second place, but or no, I'm sorry, second or third. But I came in, yeah, with two fish.
Yeah, it was a tough day. A lot of ski boats and motorboats and all that out there. Uh,
Yeah.
about a million rock bass out there. That was a
Hmm.
tough day. Um,
Yeah.
why don't you tell everybody how you won? Came in placed in that tournament. How you were fishing?
So that Coventry Lake tournament, I went there blinded. It was my first ever kayak tournament, and I honestly didn't know what I was doing. I mean, I knew how to fish, obviously, but I didn't know how to fish a tournament and what to look for and stuff. Because it's a different experience. You know, you're fishing for money and you got a lot of things online. I wanted to do good in my first ever tournament. So I went there and we talked in the beginning. All of us as buddies talked. Hey, what are you guys gonna do? And I had a plan, and we all pretty much had the same plan. And you know, we were kids. Our first ever tournament. We didn't really keep anything from each other. We were out there talking and having fun together on the water. And I just threw a drop shot all day in the middle of the lake. I found a nice hole or a nice spot to throw a drop shot, and I was happy to say that I was able to get a bunch of fish on the drop shot. Well, two fish, but that landed me a decent finish in the tournament.
Yeah, it was a tough day, and definitely needed to finesse fish, but those rock bass wouldn't leave the little stuff alone. Um,
I know. I had to sort through at least 30 of them to get those two bass. I mean, I was throwing the drop shot down there, getting hammered. I was like, "Oh, rock bass," and then I'd get them to the kayak, and I'd have to throw off at least 10 of them, catch a bass, 10 more to throw them off, catch a bass.
now, how many kayak tournaments would you say you fished now since then? 'Cause that was
per
your first
per
one.
year. That was my first one, so probably like 20. I do about 10 a year. It's what I could fit between all my schedules. I'm gonna fish in a bunch this year, so For kayaks, I'll do some Jack Tibbins normal Connecticut series, fish my kayak series, and then I'll find a team trail. Whether I have to travel to Massachusetts, do the Connecticut Elite one, or do something else. I just haven't decided on that yet.
What made you want to become the high school director? I mean, obviously you like to fish and all that, and you met Jamie, but
Yeah.
what gave you the drive to want to become the high school director?
It's a good question. I was always more of a leader type kid when I was younger. I was always one to take a step up and do what it took to accomplish something. So I was able to, me and Jamie live about 15 minutes away, and we were just talking one day, and we actually had plans to do an ice fishing series, do some ice fishing tournaments. But with having ice that's so unpredictable, it made it really tough to have dates and schedule tournaments. And me and Jamie were talking. He's like, "Hey, why don't you think about doing a high school series?" And I was like, all right. At first I was like, oh man, I don't know if it's gonna work out. Our first event, I think we had we had a good turnout, but our first year last year was definitely tough. It was hard to get kids. A lot of kids my age and high school age don't really fish.
Right.
um,
I
but
have
yeah, I
kids
mean it.
that are your age and younger, and there's very few of them that fish.
I know. I mean, me and my buddy Kyle Bashera we're the only, honestly, we have a fishing club at school. We started that at school as well. Me and I did it, and then he kind of helped me out with what he could. But me and him are the only two seniors. Our whole senior class, we're the only two that are in the club. Or well, there's some, but we're the two that fish the most, and we're dedicated to fishing. A couple of them are in there for fun, but in our whole grade, 180 something kids, it's us two that like to fish.
So knowing that it was going to be that difficult and you didn't think that you were going to get the participation, how do you go about getting these people to show up?
It's a lot of word of mouth, spreading it to people that we know who like to fish, and doing a lot of social media posts. Um, when that time comes around, you'll see a lot of stuff on my Facebook page for trying to get the word out there, spreading it to people, and basically just doing whatever I could to reach kids my age to try to get more participation. Last year we had a decent year. Our average tournament was like 10 or so kids, but this year, the more the merrier, and if we can get more kids into kayak fishing or tournament fishing in general, it would be great.
That is great, and I'm glad to see young kids. Even though you just became a man, you turned 18. But
Yeah.
I love to see the younger guys um, getting into this, and you're the future of the sport, really. I mean, if you guys stop doing it, then the sport stops.
Who would? Yeah,
Uh,
I agree.
so I'm definitely
Yeah.
glad to see that you guys are doing this, and it seems like you got a good thing going.
Yeah, I definitely do. It's gonna be my last year running it because I'll be graduating high school and going on to college. So I mean, I just want to make the most of it this last final 2020, or my second year doing it, and then we'll pass it off to probably Ben Delvecchio, who's I think he's a sophomore right now, I believe, and because he's been there with us since the beginning, and we'll see what Ben can make out of it. But either way, I'll be there for Ben, and we'll keep that thing alive, keep it rolling. It was, it's going to be a great year this year. We'll get as many kids as we could, and then I hope Ben takes it on and makes it live.
Do you guys have other high schools that fish with you, or is it just your school?
So this high school series is open to any high schooler. It doesn't have anything to do with the school that you go to. Any high school kid could fish in it. We have a mix of kids from all over the place. I know my buddy Evan, he's from Killingworth, Connecticut, or yeah, Killingworth, I believe is, and yeah, he comes down for our tournaments. It's all over the place, and the ones that the Connecticut Bass Nation, those are big boat events where I actually fish on behalf of my school with my buddy Kyle and represent our school against other schools.
Nice. Have you made it to like regionals or anything in the big boat?
No, we haven't. We finished in, I think, the top half this past year. It was a lot of fun. Me and Kyle I missed an event, so there's four events, so you gotta do really well in all four to really place at the top. And it was our first year fishing against other high schools. I think we came in like I think we finished in like 12th place out of like 30 boats. So we had a decent year, not a top finish obviously, but we still had a fun year. I've made it to a national event for myself, but through the Connecticut Bass Nation or anything, we haven't made it any other any farther than normal in-state tournaments.
The that video you just posted the other day with you fishing on the bass boat.
Mm-hmm.
What event is that?
That was the Big Bass Junior Championship, and I believe the director, Bill Siementel, some of you guys may know who he is. He might be in this video right now. But that was an event out in Idaho called the Big Bass Junior Championship. I qualified for the state of Connecticut, and I went
That's let
down
me
to
stop you for a
Idaho.
second. That's the one where you the person that wins each state for the biggest bass of the season. Is that tournament?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was it. Yeah. So yeah, I went down to Idaho to fish, and I finished in 15th place out of 46 anglers. It was a great experience, something that I'll never forget. And I was actually, when you go down and you take 15th place home, you don't really expect to take anything crazy home. Maybe something smaller, but I was able to win a scholarship to a bass fishing or to a college with a bass fishing school. So the tournament was awesome. First place won a bass cat boat worth 30 grand, and the depth of everything just went down, and it was a great event. I'm gonna try to qualify again this year. Is something that I'll never forget, honestly.
Yeah, I was looking into that tournament because they do it for us old guys too. Uh,
Mm.
I was thinking about entering that and seeing if I could qualify to go out there. I
Yeah.
know
Wait. You go ahead.
I know a few guys that have done it in this area, and they've gone out
Mhm.
there in years past, Oklahoma or something like that. They go out there and
You're, you're from Massachusetts, right?
Rhode Island.
Rhode Island. I was gonna say this kid from Mass just qualified with I think it was like a 3 or 4 pound bass through the ice
Oh
from
wow.
Massachusetts. Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't matter how you catch it, huh? It just has to be the biggest.
Yeah, it's got to be a couple requirements, 12 inches. You got to send in a bunch of pictures with it. But yeah, it doesn't matter how you catch it. They're promoting ice fishing right now, where if you catch a fish through the ice and it's the first one through the ice for your state, they send you a whole bunch of Spro BBZ swim baits. Have you ever heard of them?
Yes.
So yeah, the tournament director Bill Siementel, he's actually the one who came up with that whole BBZ idea with the swim baits and the rats. So he made an offer to everyone whoever catches the first bass through the ice in their respective state gets about $100 worth of those products. So it's pretty cool.
Wow, that's great. Uh,
Yeah,
Too bad I don't have any ice.
I just caught a bass through the ice the other day, but it was I'm not in the event yet. I haven't signed up, but it wouldn't have made that 12-inch mark anyway.
Yeah. Uh, I haven't caught a bass through the ice in, I don't know, probably 3 years. It's been
It's hard.
horrible.
You don't get them that much through the ice. I get a lot of, everything but bass, honestly, on tip ups through the ice.
Yeah, I want to say the last one I got was 3 years ago. It was a good one. When you get a bass through the ice, it's usually a good one.
Yeah,
I want to say it was like 3, 4 pounder.
that's
But
awesome.
I
Yeah,
was fishing for pike. I mean, I don't ever
yeah,
even really go ice fishing for bass because they're so difficult to catch.
they are. Even open water fishing this time of year, they get tough.
Yeah, I went out a few weeks back. We had a warm weekend, and I went out dragging a football jig, and I got one solid bite. And actually, it wasn't on the football jig; it was on a chatterbait. I was just ripping it through the grass that was still left there.
Yeah.
I got one solid. Could have been a pickerel, uh,
Mm.
but it came off shortly after a short fight.
Hmm.
But I didn't catch any bass, but it was so just nice to be out there.
Yeah, I took my kayak out about 2 or 3 weeks ago when we had a nice warm streak, and just being on the water again, and everything about it was just awesome.
Yeah, guys that are just tuning in, this is Dylan from Connecticut. He's the NEBassin High School Series director. We've got some questions for him. He also fishes Connecticut Bass Nation and the Big Bass Junior Challenge. Made it all the way out to Idaho this past season.
Yep.
Placed 15th out of 46, you said, Dylan?
Yeah,
Yeah,
15th out of 46.
that's not bad.
No, take it. It was a fun tournament. Me and my dad flew down there. I want to say on like a Wednesday, fished a Saturday tournament, I believe, and flew back. I want to say the next Monday. We made a lot. We made a it was Idaho, so there's not a ton to do, at least in the part that we were in. But we were able to visit some mountains and do some fun stuff. So either a 15th place, I'll take it any day. Anything higher would have been nicer, obviously, but it's still a great tournament.
It is. Now, did they pay your way out there and everything?
No, so they gave us a boat captain and everything like that, and they paid for a night of our hotel. But other than that, I was actually able to round up some sponsors, a bunch of local businesses, people. They all threw me a bunch of money, and I decked out a jersey with a bunch of sponsorships. I had auto bodies, I had a car dealership, I had pizza restaurants, all from my hometown who supported me, and with that, I was able to cover a hefty amount of the cost, which was pretty awesome. And if any of those people are on here now, I want to say thanks again for everything that came to me for that tournament. It really, really helped me out. And those types of trips are, at least for me, I was 17 at the time. They're not easy to pay for. There was about a $3,000 trip. So anyone who contributed, I would just thank you again. It was surreal.
I'd also like to thank those people because it's people like them that make it possible for kids like you to keep this sport growing. So, big shout out to those people that helped this young man out to get him to where he needed to be and to do what he needed to do. Now, as the high school director, do you get to choose where you're fishing, like where your tournaments are going to be, or is that all
Yeah,
set?
so we have a list of lakes that we are able to get permits from the state, and yeah, I put together a schedule. I talked to everyone else in the tournament in the series, like, hey guys, where do you guys want to fish this year? They gave me some ideas. We're trying some new lakes this year, but everything with the schedule, I get to pick the dates and the times and locations. Yeah,
Awesome.
yeah.
Uh, 10 years from now, where do you see yourself outside of fishing? Like, what does Dylan want to do?
So 10 years, probably be about I'll be eight, so about 28 years old. Probably obviously out of school. I want to have a full-time job. I want to do something that revolves around fishing. My intended major for next year is going to be marketing. So I'm hoping that I can, 10 years from now, I'm hoping I could be with a company and dedicated to that company, doing something like traveling to trade shows, representing that company. Um, you know, I'm pretty good with social media and everything. So we'll see where everything that I can do now takes me and what I can learn about marketing in the next 4 years in college. And then hopefully I sign with a nice company and I'll get to represent that company as a job
Awesome. Now, how about 10 years in fishing? Where would you
in
like to
fishing.
be?
So next year, I have a bunch of colleges that I am thinking about fishing for their school. Obviously, in the South, there's not much up here in the North for competitive college bass fishing. It's all like Alabama, Illinois, Tennessee, Kentucky area, and yeah, I mean, I'm gonna have an opportunity to fish at one of those schools. So after college, I don't know. Maybe I'll start fishing in some big tournaments. It depends where I'm at with that. I hope to, my all-time dream is to fish in some giant Bassmaster tournaments, and I'll never stop working for that. So hopefully, in 10 years, I'm fishing in some big tournaments.
That would be great to see. And it seems like you got a good plan. And if you want a career in fishing, marketing is definitely the place to go. Even
Yep.
even if you're looking to just be a professional angler, a degree in marketing will definitely get you very far because that's what they're looking for.
Yeah.
These days, they're just looking to sell products. Um,
Yeah, I know a bunch of guys who attend these schools that I'm thinking about for next year. And a lot of them are, they're all in marketing, every single one of them. I say, what's your major? What's your major? I do marketing. I do marketing. And that's what it is. It's fishing and marketing. And when you become a college angler, and that's what I want to do.
yeah, I don't know if you have the Bass UTV subscription. Um,
I used to, but not anymore. Yeah.
yeah, a lot of those guys talk about that on there. they tell people that marketing is definitely the career to go for if you're looking for a career in fishing.
Yeah, that's my plan.
That's great. I'm let's see what we got for a question. What's some of your favorite baits to use?
All right, that's a good one. So, something I'll always have tied on, no matter what, is a Ned rig. We were talking about that before. Ned rig you can throw in pretty much any condition. Kitech swim bait or swim bait in general, I'll always have one of them tied on too. Um, the basics I'll always have tied on, but my absolute favorite lure is a topwater frog.
I think most young people that top water explosion definitely gets them going. See, in a tournament situation, I very rarely throw a frog. Uh, I
Yeah, I
It's a
don't throw
heartbreak.
frogs in tournaments.
It's a heartbreak.
I've honestly, I've honestly thrown top water frogs in tournaments less than a handful of times, probably like 3 times. Got to have that good mat to do so. But I have a spot where I fish leisurely, and if my buddy Kyle Bashir is in here, he'll know exactly what I'm talking about. But it's one of those spots where the lily pads come up really good in the summer, and you throw a top water frog, you get some big bass.
Yeah. Uh, I have an angler that fishes in our club, Ocean State Kayak Bassin, Chris Catucci. He's actually a junior Bassmaster world champion.
Oh wow.
So, I mean, if you look him up, maybe he can give you some advice. I know you fish in the junior Bassmasters as well, so maybe he can help you out. Um,
Yeah,
but he fishes a frog a lot in tournaments, and he still wins. I mean, for me, it's a heartbreak to see one blow up on it and then not get that hook
yeah.
set. It's a heartbreaker.
Yeah, I mean, I agree, but usually when I get a bass on a top water frog, usually they're decent fish.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So
They definitely usually. If I'm looking for a kicker, maybe, but I don't usually go out there throwing it. Greg just tuned in. He said he's got somebody for you to contact regarding the marketing. So after the show, uh, hook up with Greg. You know who Greg is, right?
well,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
I'm with him. Tight lines
Right.
worldwide. So my dad's a police officer and Greg's a police officer, so we were able to bond pretty well. And I actually got in with Tight Lines Worldwide, and I represent their thin blue line. I actually have it. I can't you can see it
Yep.
right
Yep.
here.
Yep.
But I actually have a bunch of their Tight Lines Worldwide thin blue line flags. So something I feel strongly about, and it was a perfect fit for me to hop on with Greg.
That's awesome. And thank your dad for his public service for me.
I will.
Where are some of your favorite places to fish?
So
Don't give up your
I
honey
have a
hole either.
I want it. But I have some decent spots around my house. Where I could just launch the kayak and fish, and those are just small town ponds. But big lakes where I like to fish. Colebrook River Lake. Have you ever heard of Colebrook?
I've heard of it, yes.
I fished one tournament there this year. I just fell in love with the place. It's so awesome. I like to fish Bantam Lake too. Um, Candlewood Lake when it's the right time of year for me. If it's not that time of year, I struggle on that lake. It's a really tough lake, but I've gotten to know it fairly well, and I do bet on that lake now. And I don't have any crazy favorite spots, but I do, I respect a lot of the places that I fish tournaments in, and usually the places that I fish, they're usually like 2 or 3 times a year. So I don't really fish spots. There's some guys who will go to spots like 20 times a year. I have those small town ponds near my house where I do a bunch of my leisure fishing, and then my tournament. Sometimes I pre-fish and fish the tournament maybe 2 times a year there. So some of those tournament spots I only visit 4 times a year, 2 times a year sometimes.
Awesome. Do you guys do a like point system in the high school series?
Yeah, well, we fish for money each event, so longest length wins, obviously.
Right.
But point systems do occur for the regional event. The top guy with the most points will get a free regional event, and then yeah, points for everything. Each tournament gets you points, and just like a normal kayak event, it goes just like that.
Yeah. Do you have like an angler of the year?
We didn't do that last year, but we do hand out plaques for first, second, and third place. So kind of.
Right. Yeah. That's good. At least people are getting
Yeah.
recognized. And what, if you don't mind me asking, what place did you come in for the season?
I don't even know offhand. I didn't have the best tournament season that year, or last year. But our standings had about 27 to 30 people, I believe, and I want to say I fell in like fifth or seventh place, somewhere around there.
Respectable.
So
Very
yeah,
respectable.
yeah,
I uh
not
I
best.
had a pretty poor season this season as well. But you got to stay
I
positive.
focused on. Yeah, I know it was a tough year for me, honestly, but I was able to take home some cash in some events, and then my Big Bass Junior Championship. That was the one tournament that I really put effort into. I mean, the extra step at least. And yeah, I did well there, so it paid off. I 15th place out of 46 on a lake that it's the fourth largest lake in the U.S. I believe either the fourth largest lake in the U.S. or the fourth largest lake in Idaho. I want to say the U.S., but that place was 1,400 feet deep in sub spots
Ooh.
and giant lake. It was a river system. It had a river coming off it. So a lake that was really tough, obviously, and 14th out of 46 or 15th out of 46. I'll take it any day. It was a tough lake. We were all blind. There were no fish finders, no nothing. Kids were bringing ice fishing depth finders to see the depth of where they were fishing. So yeah, it was a tough tournament and a tough day. The conditions were absolutely poor, but I'll take I'll take that finish on that lake.
Yeah, it's tough for us North guys to go outside of our region because the lakes are so different. The
Yeah, I know they're crazy.
size and the depth, we just don't have that kind of stuff up here.
Believe it or not, the Navy had a submarine base on this lake. It was so deep that they were able to launch submarines in there. Yeah, it was
Imagine
insane.
seeing that thing go across your Lawrence.
I know, it's crazy, yeah.
That's crazy that they didn't have electronics for you guys.
Well, the boats that we were on were rigged out with them, obviously, but for I don't know, they said that it was for the local guys to not have any advantage, but
Oh,
I
I see
I
what
don't
you're
know,
saying. Yeah.
yeah. But it goes both ways. There were people making arguments that it gives the local guys an advantage because they already know where they're fishing.
Right.
And then you got someone who doesn't know anything, so it could go both ways.
Right.
But I didn't have any bad feelings about the rule. I went in there, did what I did, and fished, and that was it.
Hey, that's what you got to do. Years ago, they didn't
Yeah,
even
that was.
have those things.
I know. Yeah, that was the day.
Now, for 2020, what's some of your goals?
Uh let's see here. I want to fish more events. I'll give you three goals. I want to fish more events. I want to get some higher finishes, fish some bigger events, and place high. I just want to have a good season, honestly, and yeah, I'm gonna sign a college contract in the next couple months. Yeah, that's one of my goals, or goal something that I've worked for. Something I'll be happy when it happens, and then I just want to have a good season, and we'll go from there.
Do you have an idea of where you want to go to college?
Yeah, so I have a couple options right now. Bethel University in Tennessee. Um, let's see, I have Bethel. I have University of Montevallo, which is in Alabama. Georgetown College, which is in Kentucky, and Greenville University, which is in Illinois. So I'm gonna have to go visit those schools and see what I think about them. Like I said, from the Big Bass Junior Championship, I have a $7,000 per year, $28,000 total scholarship to Bethel in Tennessee. So it's you got to
I've
see
heard a
how
lot
I
of
feel about.
I've heard a lot of good things about that school. Uh,
Yeah, it's the top bass fishing school in the nation. I'll tell you
oh,
that.
is it really?
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, they're known for being number one and having a really competitive team. I won't say that that's gonna give me a reason to go there, but it's an extra bonus, and obviously they know what they're doing over there,
Right. Education
and
first, but
yeah, and then how I mean these schools are a lot of them are private schools and religious schools, and I'm not the most religious person, but I've heard from a lot of people that going to a religious school really doesn't make a difference. There's a lot of people who are not there for religion at all. So I honestly just want to go to these schools and check them out in person and see how I feel about them. Meet some of the guys, meet the coaches in person. I've talked to them over the phone a lot, but being there and getting to feel the school is something that I need to do. And I was talking to my dad about it the other day, and I'll probably go down there in the end of this month.
Yeah, religion is very big down south. I don't know if
Oh
you've
yeah,
ever really traveled down there, but there's like a church on every corner. Once you get to like Tennessee and further south than that, I mean, there's a church on every corner, man. They're big into
I have
religion.
I haven't been there personally. I know people who go that who have been there, and I've seen a lot about it. But yeah, I'm not going there for religion. I'll say that. I'm going there for education and to fish,
Yep.
and so I talk to a lot of people, like I said, and they say, being at a religious school, sometimes you don't even realize. So I'm not going to let that play a role in
Yeah,
anything.
you shouldn't either. You
Yeah,
have the right to choose your own religion or non-religion.
of course, yeah.
Here's a question that I ask everybody that comes on here. Top
All right.
five anglers of all time, and it can be anybody. It doesn't have to be a pro.
Tell you what, I watched your shows before, and I knew you were going to ask me this, and I had to write it down, so I got my list right here.
That's awesome.
So
He's doing
let
his
me read it.
homework. See, guys, he does his homework.
Let me read it to you. So this is in no order, but guys that I really respect and guys who fall into the category for best of all time. So I got this is not in any order of best to worst anything. Kevin Van Dam, Hank Parker, Bill Dance, Roland Martin, Mike Iaconelli. So that's five right there.
Yep.
And then someone that I really started following and looked up and started looking at exclusively when I fished that Idaho tournament. I met him in person, took a picture with him, got an autograph. Was Brandon Palaniuk. So I got a lot of respect for him when I was out in Idaho, and he definitely falls into maybe not one of in all time, but one of my favorite anglers, definitely.
I have to tell you that Brandon has been really becoming one of my favorites. I don't have him in my top five, but he is definitely becoming one of my top favorites. Just the way he presents himself,
Yeah,
um, the way he
yeah,
is very consistent on the water. He has a plan. He sticks to his plan, and you never see him like down and out. You never see him throwing a hissy fit. He's always
right,
focused on what he's doing. Um, I forget what tournament it was, but he lost an absolute giant of a fish. I mean, it was probably a 10-pounder, right at the
wow,
boat, like literally lipping it at the boat. Uh, and he lost it. And the way he composed himself, I mean, I would have broke every single thing on my boat. Um, the way he composed himself showed he's a real professional and he really is in touch with his own mind,
yeah,
and knows how to control himself. So
yeah.
he's definitely been becoming one of my favorites. Uh, and I've watched a lot of him on the Bass University, and he definitely is, I gotta say, becoming one of my favorites. And he's a
Yeah,
younger
so I
guy. I want to say he's probably might be younger than me.
he's 31.
Yeah,
I was looking at stuff today.
he
Yeah,
is 8 years younger than me. So, yeah,
I want to say 31. I was looking at it today, 31, I believe. But yeah, I'll tell you what. I obviously I knew who he was and I knew what he was about before going to Idaho, and they actually brought him in as a surprise to everyone. So they were like, "Oh, we're bringing in Brandon Palaniuk." They announced it to the whole group at the competitors' dinner, and I was like, "Is this dude really gonna walk in the door right now?" And I look at the door, and sure enough, there he is in his Brandon Palaniuk. He's got his merchandise business where he sells like all of his shirts and hats and stuff like that. I was like, wow, there he is. And then we all talked to him, met him, and took photos with him and stuff. And yeah, he's a classy guy. He was in his home state of Idaho, so he showed a lot of. He was really thrilled that the tournament was hosted there, and
yeah.
I gained a lot of
You don't
respect.
really think Idaho when you think bass fishing.
I,
It's
uh,
definitely.
I told a lot of people, when I was getting ready for this tournament, they're like, "Hey, where's your tournament? What's going on?" And I was like, "Oh, I'm going to Idaho to fish." They're like, "Oh, you're going to Idaho? You're not fishing the mountains for trout or anything?" I was like, "No, I'm going to a lake to fish for bass."
Yeah. I've seen a lot of your trout pictures. I mean, you guys catch some good trout. Uh, are those all
Yeah,
are those native trout or are those stocked?
so every single rainbow trout, you probably saw my post the other day. I called rainbow trout through the ice. Those are all stocked.
Yeah.
It was in a lake where they could be holdovers or recently stocked. Well, recently stocked in the spring or summer, but those are all stocked. Brook trout here in Connecticut, I'm sure it's the same for you. We have wild brook trout and stocked brook
We
trout.
have nothing. We have
Wow.
no native trout whatsoever. At least not that I
Well,
know of.
I catch a bunch of wild brook trout, ones that are actually born in that river or stream. And same with brown trout. I know one of my buddies, he may or may not be in the video. Tristan Wilgan, he's a fly fishing guide here in Connecticut. He really got me into fly fishing and helped me out and taught me the nature of it. It's a tough thing to do. And yeah, we fish for wild brown trout all the time, and he knows what he's doing when it comes to fly fishing and taught me a lot. And we catch a lot of wild browns all the time together.
Yeah, fly fishing is definitely tough. I grew up in Maine, so fly fishing was pretty big up there. But my dad wasn't much of a fisherman, and anything that I learned, I pretty much either learned from trying or from watching somebody else that was on the river or whatever. Uh,
Yeah,
so,
fly fishing's really tough, and I honestly had no clue how to do it until I met my buddy, and took me to some rivers here in Connecticut and get. I'm nothing special. I know how to cast decently, but he taught me the basics, and I I wouldn't say I fell in love with it, but I like fishing some pressure trout or trout in general. I believe you'll always have an advantage if you're fishing a fly. There's nothing you can't get more natural than presenting to them
right.
something that they eat on the daily.
Have you ever tried fly fishing for bass?
No, but my buddy who taught me how to fly fish, he's done it before, and you can throw like top water poppers and like foam poppers and all sorts of like bait fish imitations and stuff.
Yeah.
But I've never done it.
Yeah.
Gotta have an. I don't have the best fly fishing setup. It's good for trout, but when you get to start catching big fish, I've learned that it's kind of important to have a nice setup.
Yeah. There's a guy that fishes in one of the local clubs here. He actually brings a fly rod out on his kayak.
I believe it. I believe it. You can throw all sorts of different things on it. I've honestly never gotten into it, but I've heard that my buddy who like I keep referring to him, he's told me that it's actually pretty hard to get bass on the
Yeah,
fly.
I would think it would be. I've never tried it either, but I figured. I mean, you seem to fish for everything and try everything, so I figured I'd ask you. But yeah, I would
Maybe,
imagine it's got to
maybe
be tough.
yeah, I mean, I wouldn't put it past anyone to catch a bass on the fly. I mean, if you got an aggressive bass, they'll eat pretty much
Right, you
anything.
just gotta put it in front of their face.
I see guys on YouTube catching bass with a Twizzler, so
Right.
you never know.
Yeah, I've seen those videos too. Yep. The biggest bass I ever caught in my life, I caught when I was a kid in Maine, and it was on a hot dog.
Yeah, dude, people go ice fishing with hot dogs for pike now. I mean,
Yep.
it's a thing. It's a thing. They rig up a hot dog on their tip up, and they work pretty well. So I don't know. It seems like there's people make trout spinners out of beer bottle tops, so you could do anything.
And here we are buying $30,000 worth of tackle to catch some fish that'll
Yeah,
bite a hot dog.
I know. Yeah.
All right, Dylan, I'm going to let you thank everybody that you need to thank. I'm sure you got some sponsors for yourself that you want to thank. And then we'll get you off of here. And I just want to say thanks for coming on. It was a pleasure talking to you. And I
Thank you. It
definitely
was
look forward
awesome.
to following you into the future and to see where you take all of this. So I'll leave it for you to tell everybody thanks and thank you for coming on.
All right. All right. So I'll probably forget some people, but a couple people. I like to thank before anyone. I'll thank family and friends first. So my family, my parents, my brothers, they always support me when it comes to fishing. My grandparents, my aunts, uncles, pretty much everyone. I get the comments from them all the time on my Facebook posts. So my friends and family, Tristan, Kyle, Evan, Ben Delvecchia, all my fishing friends, everyone who's helped me out, anyone affiliated with NEBassin, everyone who likes my posts on Facebook, comments on my posts, everyone that follows me, I appreciate everything. Yeah, and then I'll thank some of the businesses or actually first let me thank I want to thank one more friend, which would be AJ Max. He was the winner of the Big Bass Junior Championship, helping me put together a website. He's a great dude, and I just want to thank him. A bunch of the sponsors that I had for the Big Bass Junior Championship, I don't have the list on hand, but I'll just say a bunch of the Beacon Falls based businesses. My hometown is Beacon Falls. I'm not going to name anyone because I don't want to leave anyone out and then have anything against me. So, everyone from Beacon Falls and surrounding towns who supported me, yeah, friends, family, sponsors. That's about it. I want to thank you for having me on the show. Everyone who's provided me opportunities and everything to come. Just everyone that follows me, supports me, anything, friends, family. Thank everyone. I'm not one of those persons to leave anyone out. So I really appreciate everything that everyone does for me. And yeah, that's about it.
All right. Well, thanks for coming on. It was great to have you again. Like I said, and I'm sure I'll see you on here again. I'll have you on here again during the season, maybe. I'm sure you're gonna win some tournaments, so we'll bring you on and talk about those tournaments, how you fished and how you caught them. All right.
Sounds to me. Yeah, I had a pleasure. It was awesome speaking to you, and I just want to say thanks again for having me on the show.
Awesome. Thank you. We'll be talking to you.
All right, sounds good.
All right, guys. That was Dylan from NEBassin. He was the high school director for NEBassin. Great young man, from what I can tell. I mean, he seems like a really good kid. Seems like the future of our sport in this area is in some good hands. So again, thank you, Dylan, for coming on. Thank you guys for tuning in. I know he had a lot of family on here watching and close friends. So thanks for watching Northeast Kayak Fishing TV. We'll see you guys on Thursday with Mr. Rod Merritt, Kayak Bass Anglers of Maine Angler of the Year. So we'll get some questions for him and see how he did this season. And then Friday we have Jason Gardner. As long as schedule still works out, he's got some work things that could interfere, but probably 98% sure he'll be on. He is the Northeast Kayak Bass Fishing Director and also the Director of Maine Yak Anglers. So there'll be a ton of questions for him. So that should be a really good episode. So thanks for watching. Tight lines, good times, and see you next time.